Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Brass Monkey X. So, it is that time of year again where I get to make my wife an anniversary present. So, each year, if you guys don't know, what I do is I like to give my wife a traditional anniversary gift. So, there's modern and there's traditional gifts. The modern gifts are like appliances and crap like that. The traditional stuff, the gift is always some sort of material. So what I like to do is I like to take that material of that anniversary year and hand make a gift for my wife. If you saw last year, I'll post a link in the description below. What I did is I made the anniversary was copper. So for the first time in my life, I decided to work with copper, and I made her a copper candle holder, which came out really cool. I was actually really proud of myself because I've never done like sheet metal work like that before, like forming metal and everything, and it came out really cool. But anyway, I'll post a link to that down below. You guys can check it out. So this year is year number 7, and it happens to be bronze. And I said, what the hell? I don't know how to work with bronze. Like, I was a carpenter by trade, you know. I'm a woodworker. I know how to work with wood. You know, I do some gunsmithing stuff, but I don't know how to work with bronze. So I came up with an idea. I said, you know what? I'm going to make a wind chime. I'm going to get some bronze pipe, and I'm going to cut it into the lengths that I need. I'm going to, tie it all together and turn it into a wind chime for her. But she loves wind chimes, so I figured, hey, that's a great idea. So the first thing I did was I picked up some bronze. I got two 24-inch pieces of bronze here, which, oh my God, they're hefty. These things are friggin' heavy, man. They're also not cheap at all. It took me a while to find the stuff that I wanted. I ended up finding it online at a store called onlinemetals.com, which they're a great shop. They got this stuff out to me really fast. It only took a couple of days to get it shipped. But like I said, it was really expensive. For these 2 pieces of pipe, I paid, it was like $160 or something like that with the tax and everything. It was nuts. With tax and shipping, $160 for 2 24-inch pieces of pipe. So it's going to be a very expensive wind chime, but it's worth it. I love doing this stuff. And honestly, this bronze looks awesome. I like that color on that. That's so cool. So the bronze that I'm using, it's 1 inch outside diameter. Okay. The inside diameter is 3/4 of an inch, which leaves a 1/4 inch wall on there. Now I'm going to have to get it all cut up into the sizes that I need. I'm going to do 6 different chimes on here. I'm going to do 11 inch, 9 inch, 8 inch, 7 inch, 6 inch, and 5 inch. So I got just enough to cut that into the right sizes that I need. Now, I didn't know if the bronze was going to sound good, because I know these things are usually made of like aluminum and stuff, but I didn't know. That's a pretty thick wall on there, so I didn't know if this was going to make a really good sound. But check this out, guys. I'm going to hold it up. What I plan on using for the piece that bounces around and knocks into the chimes, I'm going to get a washer. I'm going to see if I can procure a bronze washer. But, I mean, this one will do just for now. Like, listen to the sound of this thing when I hit it. I mean, dude, these are going to sound great. So I'm actually really excited. But, yeah, the piece in the middle that I'm going to use, it's going to be some kind of a washer. Okay, I want to use metal because this stuff is pretty thick. I mean, the wood sounds okay too, but I don't know. I think I want to go with the metal. It seems to ring a little better when it hits with the metal. For the wind catcher part that hangs down, I got this here. I found this butterfly, this bronze butterfly. This is actually a ceiling fan pull. I found this on Amazon. Pretty cheap too. It came with this one and like a dragonfly or something. But I'm going to hang that down the middle there. And this is what's going to catch the wind. This is going to be up here on top of it. And this is what's going to swing around and bang into the chimes. I picked up this cord on Amazon. Says it can hold 100 pounds, so that should be enough. I mean, I know this stuff's pretty weighty, but this should be fine for it. I got 125 feet, which should be more than enough. And then the top, there's going to be a piece of wood. I'm going to make it round. It's going to be what holds everything together. Like all the chimes are going to be hanging from that. The I don't know what the parts are called, but the wind catcher part and the part that bangs into the chimes, those are going to be hanging from that. And I'm going to use some kind of hardwood. I don't know. I have like some zebra wood laying around, something like this. I know I got bigger pieces somewhere. So I'm going to like cut that round. I think that zebra wood looks really good with the bronze. That could make a really cool combo. Or like I've got like scrap pieces of like oak laying around. Maybe I'll use oak. I don't know. I got to see what I have because I need a piece that's big enough. And like I said, I already spent $160 on the metal, so I'm trying to save a little bit of money. I really don't want to go out and buy a big chunk of zebra wood just for this project if I have some laying around. But if I don't, like I said, I'll just use some oak or something. So that's my plan this year. I'm going to see what I can do. I've never made anything like this before. But step number one is going to be the easy part. It's going to be to just go ahead and I'm going to cut these tubes up into the desired lengths that I need. Again, like I said, I'm going to do 11 inch, 9, 8, 7, 6, and 5 inch. So it's going to be a 6 chime wind chime. So I'm going to go get that done, and then we'll come back. I'll show you guys what they look like when they're all cut up, and we'll test them out. I'll hold them up and I'll hit them with the washer, and I'll see what kind of tones we're getting out of them, and then we'll move on to the next step from there. Okay, so we're at the chop saw. As you can see, I've changed the blades, obviously. I've got this 10-inch metal cutting cutoff blade here. So we're going to be using this to cut the bronze. Now, I recommend you guys put on safety glasses because there's going to be sparks going everywhere. I'm going to take off my watch too, so I don't want to get sparks on that. If you're wearing regular like seeing glasses, you may want to put safety glasses over those. Because I've done this before where I've been cutting metal. I was cutting rebar and it completely ruined my glasses. So you want to protect your actual eyeglasses when you're doing this if you're wearing them. And you want to protect your eyes. So I'm just going to take my glasses off because my vision isn't that bad. I can see without them. Go ahead and put the safety glasses on. All right, now, if you look here, I did this with the minimal amount of waste. I've got my 11-inch piece, my 6-inch, and my 5-inch. I've got it all measured. So on this piece here, this 24-inch piece, I'm only losing 2 inches. That's what she said. So I'm only wasting 2 inches of this. And then on the second bar that we have, I got this one all measured out. I've got my 9-inch, my 8 and my 7-inch piece measured out here. So there's no waste on the second piece. So like I said, guys, I paid a lot of money for this stuff, so I wanted to use as little bit of waste as possible. So I'm only losing 2 inches here, which is fantastic. So we're just gonna go ahead now and get these cut up. I'll do one on camera just to show you. It's gonna get loud, there's gonna be sparks flying, but you just line it up. Okay, you're going to make sure your cutting wheel is right on your mark. That looks good right there. Okay, then we'll just move this a little bit. Try not to be in the way here. You're just going to hold the bar steady here with your left hand. Okay, just take your left hand, grab it here real steady. Double check your measurement. If you're good, you're just going to start this thing up and come down real slow. And there you go. It cuts right through it. Just give that a little bit of a sanding. There is some burrs in there, a little bit. So we're just going to sand these down when we're done. Make the edges nice and smooth there. And then we're good. So I'll be back when I'm done with all of these cut. Okay, we're back in the workshop, guys, and check it out. So we've got all of our pieces cut. We've got the 11, 9, 8, 7, 6, and 5. Okay. Then what I did was I took a couple of files. I used this flat file to do the edges here on the outside to get rid of the burrs. And then I came in with a round file to do the insides. Okay. So you just file it down so that they're nice and smooth. You know, you're not going to get any metal splinters or anything. God, metal splinters suck, let me tell you. But now this is what we're left with. Now, how I determined what sizes I wanted to use, I found a website that basically breaks it down, and it tries to tell you what kind of notes you're going to get from the different sizes. So I tried to get certain notes here. Now, I don't know if they're even correct. I could go get like my guitar tuner and find out. But each one has a nice little note to it. So what we're going to do next, you want to determine where you're going to drill your holes in these in order to put the string through. Okay? Now you don't want to just drill your hole anywhere, because let me show you. Let's start with the small one here. Let's say you drill your holes up here at the top where my fingers are. Okay? And then your washer hits it. Listen to that. It's a terrible sound. You want to find the sweet spot. I think it's a little lower. So you're getting that ping now. You're getting a nice note. You got to move around, just lightly hold it with two fingers to figure out where the best note's going to come from. Right about there. So you're going to check on every single one of them, and that's where you're going to mark it. That's where you're going to drill your holes. You're going to get out the drill press. You're going to drill from one side, then drill the other side. Make sure your holes are nice and even. As you can see, each one of these has a different tone. Ooh, that one's nice. We'll try this one out here. Yeah, so as you can see, you got to come down about maybe an inch, inch and a half. You don't want to be at the top. Again, watch. At the top, doesn't sound very good. You want to come down, looks like about an inch and a half, maybe 2 inches. Yeah, 2 inches might be a little too much. You want to find that sweet spot where it's going to ring like that. You get that nice ring. Each one of these has a nice tone. They're all hitting a different note. Nice. And they ring real good. So I'm happy with that. I wasn't expecting them to ring really well because I thought these were going to be too thick. But man, these have a tremendous sound. These are great. This is exactly what I wanted. So like I said, next step, I'm going to figure out where I got to drill my holes. And then I'm going to get out the drill press. And I'm going to go ahead and drill those. I may film it. I may not. I'm not sure yet. Okay. So today's a new day. And we should be done working on our chimes today. They should be all finished. I showed you in the last segment how I was going to figure out where to drill the holes for them. You can see I've got them all marked out now. So they're a little bit different on each one. I mean, that's to be expected if you're going to get different tones from each one. So the two smaller ones, they're about an inch down. The two medium-sized ones, those ones were about 1.75 inches. And the larger ones are at about 2 inches. That's where you're going to get the best sound from these. Now, yours may vary. They're probably going to be different depending on the material and the thickness and everything. So, like I said, just test it out the way I showed you in that last segment to figure it out. So that's what I did, and I got them all marked up. Now, to figure out what size drill bit to use, this is the cord I'm going to be using. Okay. So it tells you what size it is, obviously. 3/64. You want to go a little bit bigger than the cord that you're using. So I ended up going with 1/8 inch. As you can see, it's just slightly larger than the cord that I'm going to be using, which is perfect because you don't want it too snug because then you're going to have trouble getting the cord through. So you want it to be a little bit bigger, but you don't want to use something huge. Like, you definitely don't want to use like this here. You don't want to use like a 3/8. that's going to be insane. The hole will be way too big. So you want to go with something that's just slightly larger than the cord that you're going to be using. So my setup over here for my drill press. As you can see, I've got it all set up already. You might want to set the depth just to make sure that you're going to get through on both sides of the pipe, okay? Because you want to get through one side. Once you get through one wall, you want to keep going and just come straight down and go right through the other one. You don't want to have to stop, flip it over, and try and line up the holes. So just one press, you're going to go through, get through one wall, get through the other wall, and you should be good. Now, I always like to keep a can of WD-40 nearby when I'm drilling through metal. Okay, just to cool the metal off if I have to. If things are getting too hot, it starts smoking, I'll just squirt it with the WD and keep moving. My settings up here, my speed, I've got it on the fastest setting. Okay, there's a little guide there that tells you what you should be using, what speeds. Currently, my fastest speed on this one is 3,140 RPMs. As you can see there. Here's a little chart. I don't know, yours should be a little different. You know, they're all just a little different. They all have different speeds. So just set it up appropriately, because you don't want to be moving too slow or too fast. You just want to make sure you're hitting that sweet spot. Okay, I wasn't planning on filming this, but I figured I did a couple of these already, and there might be some people out there who are interested in how the drill press works and how I'm drilling through these chimes. So I figured, all right, you know what, maybe I'll just show one on camera. So you're going to get it locked into your vise, okay, get everything lined up. As you can see, hopefully you can see here, that's lined up right on our mark there. So it's lined up perfect. You don't have to be right on it. It really doesn't matter, because you're going to drill right through it and then drill the second hole right through. So they're going to be lined up no matter where you put it. You just want to be close to your mark counts for something like this. Now, my only advice is to go slow, take your time, and let the drill bit do the work. Don't try and muscle through this. Okay, let the tool do the work. It's designed to do this. You don't have to put a lot of effort into it. So you're going to keep constant pressure, but you don't want to like try to power through, because you're just going to end up breaking your bit. So I'll show you how we do it. I'm going to turn it on. It's going to get loud, so I'm going to stop talking, but you'll see what I'm doing there, and I'll try to talk over the noise if I can. So let's go ahead. We'll get it turned on. Okay. You just want to squirt a little bit of that WD-40 on there to start with. And you just bring the bit down. He's going to go ahead, put a little bit of pressure, and you can feel it. The whole time, you can feel the bit moving a little further and a little further down. Don't put too much pressure. You want to go down and then come back up every now and again to get the debris out of the hole that you're working on. Every now and again, don't forget to come in here with your WD. Give it a little squirt. Go back down. You can feel we're about halfway through now. When you start getting to the other side, you just know. You can feel it through the machine. And eventually, it's just going to pop right through. We're getting very close. A little more WD on there. Almost there. You're going to feel when you're getting close. Still, don't put too much pressure. Let the tool do the work. And then pops right through. You want to ream it a couple times. Just up and down a little bit. Then go ahead and back it out. Okay? So now that you're through the top, you want to continue that hole on the same trajectory and just come straight down and drill through the opposite side. That way your holes are precisely lined up. So to do that, I like to take a paper towel and I stick it on the end here so my WD doesn't come flying everywhere. You just squirt some WD down in there. Okay. You're going to turn your drill press back on and you're just going to bring it all the way down. You'll feel when you hit the bottom side there. So there There we go. We've hit it right there. And it's the same process, but you're doing it by feel. You're not really getting a visual on it, but you can feel it moving ever so slightly as you're moving down. A little bit of pressure every time. Don't power through. Let the drill bit do its job. Okay, we'll go ahead. We'll squirt some more WD down there. That should be good. Just make sure you're coming back up though. Put a little bit of pressure. Come back up. That cleans out the hole as you're going. Almost there. You can feel it. And just like with the top, it's just going to pop right through the bottom when we get there. You'll know when it gets through. You can't miss it. Almost there. Hop. There it is. Now what you want to do is just ream it out a couple times. That should smooth out the inside of those holes. And you're good. That's it. We're going to take it out of the vise. You want to clean it off. I'm going to run the paper towel down the inside as well. And then on the outside here, you might want to hit that with a file and just file that down a little bit so it's not so jagged. But that's all I'm really doing here, guys. It's really not that difficult. All right, so we're back at the workbench. And the last step with these chimes is I'm cleaning up these holes, okay? So I have this 12-piece needle file set that I got from Harbor Freight. I love this thing. Comes in handy for a lot of stuff, especially stuff like this. So what I'm doing is I got 3 different files going. I got myself a flat file here that I'm using to clean up the outside. I just kind of hold it like this. You just want to go in one direction and just kind of smooth out that hole. Make that real smooth on the top there. You'll flip it over, do the same thing on this side. As you can see, I pretty much did it already. Okay. Then on the inside, it's hard to see, but to flatten that out, I've got this file here. It's got a little bit of like a rounded contour to it. So I'm just getting that one down in there. Okay, just like that. And I'm just smoothing out the inside. And then when I'm all done, I come in with a round file. It just happens to be 1/8 inch, same size as the bit we were using. So this goes right through to the other side. And I just kind of give it a twist and ream that out. So we get that all nice and cleaned up. It's nice and smooth. And this isn't going to tear our cord when we have our cord running through it. Because these are going to be swinging. They're going to be swaying. If you don't clean this up, and you leave that edge sharp, it's going to end up tearing through your cord, and you're going to have issues later down the road. So just make sure you don't skip this step. Get everything nice and cleaned up before you move on. So like I said, I'm going to get this done on the rest of them. I already did one. This is the second one I'm doing now. I'm going to get them all done, and then I'm going to clean up the chimes themselves. All right, the chimes themselves are done. We're not going to be touching these again until it's time to string everything up. So we can just set these aside now. These are done with. Now, what I'm going to do is I have to go through all of my hardware that I have, all my spare hardware that I have laying around. If I don't have anything, I'm going to have to run to Home Depot and figure something out. But I need to find the piece that's going to go in the middle, which I've been using as washer as a stand-in for now. It's that piece that's going to go in the middle that swings around and bangs into the chimes, and it's the part that makes the chimes do what they do. I don't know the names of the parts, guys. I'm sorry. I've never built one of these before. This is all new to me. But like this piece is going to hang from it. This is I guess the wind catcher or whatever you want to call it. That's the part that is going to hang down. And then there's a part that this attaches to that sways back and forth that bangs into the chimes. I need to find something for that. Now, like I said, I'm going to check my hardware and see what I have. If I have some kind of like bronze washer or something with a smaller diameter hole, that could work. I was also thinking maybe like an old bronze like draw pull or like a cabinet knob or something. Maybe I could just drill through that and use that. Like I don't know. I got to see what I can come up with. Again, if I don't have anything that's bronze, I'm gonna have to run down to the hardware store and check it out, see what I can find there, because I have to figure out how big that piece is before I can move on. I can't really do anything else until I figure out I don't know, I'm going to call it the knocker from now on, until I figure out the knocker. I need to know the diameter of that because that determines how big that top piece of wood is that holds everything together. There's going to be that top piece that I got to shape. I don't know if I'm going to do round or cut it into an octagon. I don't know yet. But I can't determine what size that has to be until I figure out the knocker size. So I got to put that in the center, and then I have to put these all around it at a spacing that I like and see what size piece of wood I need to use. So it all depends on this. So this is the next piece I have to go procure. So yeah, like I said, I'm taking a break for today, but you guys, it's going to pick up on the next segment. So let me go find a bronze knocker, if that's what you want to call it. And then I'll be back to show you what we do from there. All right, guys. So I found this here, this bronze draw pull. I found this in my hardware down here in my garage. I got a bunch of crap laying around. It's not quite as large as I want it to be, but it's going to have to do. Now, I went to my hardware store, and they didn't have anything that I liked, so I'm just going to roll with this for now. The good thing is, it's replaceable. If I ever want to change this out, I'll have no problem just changing this thing out. So what I did was, I just drilled a hole right through the center here. Okay. Now, normally that's where it would screw in and attach to your drawer. I just drilled a hole right through it. As you can see, these things never line up properly. They're never in the center, but it is what it is. So what's going to happen is this chain, it just so happens that the end of the chain is thick enough where it doesn't fall all the way through. It stops before it comes through. So when I figure out the length, I have another piece of chain here, another piece of bronze chain. I'm going to snip it where I need it, run it through this end because the balls fit through, attach it on this end, and then pull it through until it stops right there where it can't go any further. So that's how I'm going to attach that. That worked out perfect. I just got lucky, and the balls will fit through, but that clasp piece on the end is just, it's too thick to fit through. So it works out perfect. So that's what I'm going to be using. As far as the wood goes, I decided to go with a red oak because the pieces that I had, the scraps that I had, they just weren't quite big enough. So I had to go buy a piece of red oak. Not a big deal. It didn't cost too much. I figured out what shape I wanted. I'm going to go with this hexagon shape here. So I cut out a template, which this, oh my God, it took me like half an hour to figure out the dimensions on this thing. I kept trying to rethink, like, go back to geometry class in high school. And I was having a brain fart, and it took me half an hour to figure it out. But I got my template figured out. I put it on there, traced out the shape, as you can see, and we're going to go cut this out on the chop saw. Then what we're going to do is, once I get it cut out, I'm going to shape it. I'm probably going to sand it down a little bit, get rid of the sharpened edges and everything. And then our chimes themselves, they're going to be, I'm going to have one on each straight edge of the hexagon. Okay, they're not going to be in the corners. I'm going to have them on the straight edges. And I'll show you what that looks like when we move a little further along. But trust me, it turns out pretty good. Like, I line them up right on the center of each straight edge, and they're spaced out pretty much exactly how I want them. So let me go get this cut, and then I'll be back to show you what we're going to do from there. Okay. So I've got my red oak cut now. I cut it on the chop saw. I got my perfect hexagon shape that I was looking for. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure you're not using like a rough saw blade in there. You want to use a fine tooth cutting blade. The one I used was 60 teeth per inch. So you want to use something a little finer. You're not framing a house, guys. You're cutting a nice piece of red oak. So you want to use a fine blade, something that's not going to rough up the wood too much. But I am still going to sand this. I'm going to give it a light sanding, take down the rough edges a little bit, and then this piece is ready to work with. Now what I'm going to do is, I explained it a little bit before, I'm going to put the chimes on every straight edge here. So I'm going to show you what that looks like, how I'm going to line this up. We're just going to go in the center of each straight edge. Now you can measure it out, you can kind of eyeball it, it really doesn't matter. This one's going to go here. This one here. And this guy's going to go right here. So essentially, they're going to be hanging from it in that orientation right there. Okay, try and get a good look. So that's how I want them to hang. That knocker is going to be hanging. It's going to be dangling right down there in the middle, swinging around, hitting everything, and we're good to go. So in order to achieve that, what I have to do is, I'm going to be drilling some holes. I'm going to drill holes on the corners. Okay, I'm going to drill all the way through, wide enough for my rope to get through, my cordage. So the cordage is going to loop through. I'm going to dangle a chime. It'll come back up. I'm going to tie it off. I'm going to make the holes big enough so I can fit 2 pieces of cordage through there. And each corner is going to come down, and we're going to dangle a chime off of the corners. And hopefully, we're going to get them to line up right in the middle. I know it sounds a little iffy, but I'll show you what we're doing when I get to that step. You'll understand when I get there. Like I said, we're going to drill holes in all the corners. We're going to come in a little bit. We don't want to be right on the edge. All those corners are getting a hole wide enough to fit 2 pieces of cordage through, so we can tie off our chimes and let them dangle. And then we're going to talk about that when we get to that. So like I said, let me go get this piece sanded up. Then I'm going to go ahead and just drill all the holes. And then I'll come back when it's time to string everything up, and I'll show you what I'm doing. Alright, so I finished sanding it. We didn't go crazy. Like I said, all I did was kind of knock down the edges with it a little bit. I used some 320 grit, put it on a sanding block there, and I just hit the edges real quick. I'm not going crazy with it. You know, it's a Windchime. It's going to live its life outdoors. It's fine. Just gave it a quick sanding to get the edges knocked down. Now, like I was saying before, the next step is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to drill my holes in each corner. And then I really should drill a hole in the center too for the chain that's going to be holding the knocker piece. But I think I'm going to hold off on that. I'm not going to do that yet because I'm not quite sure how big I need that to be or anything. So, like I said, I'm just going to drill the holes for my cords that are going to be holding the chimes. Okay, as you can see, we've got all of our holes drilled now. So these holes here on the outside, this is where we're going to run our cord through, and we're going to hang our chimes from it. The hole in the middle, that's where we're going to run the chain down, and the striker is attached to that. So let me show you how that's going to happen. I have this here, this chain. I got one end that looks like this. One end is just the ball end. That's going to slide right through there. We're going to drop it down, and it's going to hang on this end. And this is just going to dangle down like this. Okay. we're going to attach our striker piece. So that's just going to be dangling there. We have to figure out what height we need to put it at. So in order to do that, I have to hang the chimes. So this part's going to be the biggest pain in the butt. I have to hang the chimes so that the weight distribution is even enough where this isn't going to be all wobbly. So I got to figure that out. Then I also have to hang them low enough where each one of them is going to get hit by the striker in the sweet spot. Now there's a spot on here that the striker has to hit. It's somewhere around the middle. So I have to make sure that the middle of all of my chimes are at the same height when I get them hung. You know what I'm saying? So like each chime, if this chime is hanging 1 inch down from the top, the center of it is here, and I hang this one 1 inch from the top, the center of this one is going to be in a different spot than the center of that one because they're different lengths. So I have to make them, what I have to do is my cordage is going to have to be different lengths for each one, and they have to hang some a little lower, some a little bit higher, so that the center of them all lines up so that the striker hits them all in that sweet spot. So that's going to be a pain in the butt. So it's going to take me a while to get that done. But the good part is we're at assembly now. Everything that needed to be fabricated is fabricated. So we're just assembling everything at this point. So what I'm going to do is this piece of wood here, I'm going to get a couple coats of polyurethane on it before I do anything else. That way it's protected because it's going to be out in the weather. So I'm going to do that. It's going to take a couple days to dry. Then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put my chain and my striker on, and then I'm going to go ahead and hang the chimes. So when I come back, you're going to see the chain with the striker and all the chimes hung from this after it's been polyed. And then from there, the final step is going to be I have some chains. I don't know which ones I want to use yet, but I'm going to have to find a way to actually suspend this thing and hang it. So let me go get this polyed. I'm going to go ahead and get all the chimes hung on this thing. It's probably going to take me a couple days to get this done. I've been a little busy, so let me get that done, and then I'll be right back with the next segment, guys. Okay, guys, so check this out. I got that piece of wood all polyed now, so that's good to go. That's all dried, and I've got my chimes on here now. I strung them up. So as you can see, I used my cordage. I ran it through here at the top, came down. I went through each chime and then came back up and tied it up top. So I'm going to show you guys what method I used to string this up, because it's really difficult to just run the string right through these chimes and then up through these holes when you got two pieces of cordage running through each one. So check this out. All right, guys, make your lives easier using a toothpick. It's almost impossible to get this string through this hole and then through the one on the other side. All you need is a toothpick. I've been doing this the whole time. You take your toothpick, you put it about here. You leave about an inch or so, maybe some more of the string sticking out past. You go like this and fold it over. Hold it kind of tight. And then this helps you push the string right through. You want to look down in there. Sorry about the camera angle. Make sure you get it through and it pops right out. You pull it all the way through and you're good. That's how you get your string through there. Otherwise, it's going to be a pain in the butt. I tried using like a metal pick set that I had, and it doesn't quite work. You want to use the toothpick so you can push it all the way through and pull it out the other side. Then you're going to go ahead and do the same thing when you're putting the string up through the hole in your wood here. Okay, just come from underneath, do the same thing, push it right up. Okay, so I used that little toothpick trick to get the cord through everything. I used that to get through the chime and then up through the holes. Now, at the top, each one of these, I knotted them. What I did was I put not one but two stop knots in each piece. So let me try and show you there. They like, sorry about the camera angle, guys. That right there, that's two stop knots. So you put two stop knots in it, and it was thick enough to hold it. Now, if you don't know how to tie a stop knot, you can either go on Google, figure it out, or like I was a Boy Scout, so I know all kinds of knots. If you don't know any knots, the old adage, if you don't know a knot, tie a lot. Just tie a bunch of knots in it that you do know until it's thick enough where that cord's not going to fall through, and you're good. Now what I did was, I wanted to, because these things are really heavy, I wanted to get the weight distributed properly so that I didn't have like all of the bigger chimes on one side and it's all lopsided. So I remembered when I cut these, I had two 24-inch pieces. And I had the longest piece and the two shortest ones came off of one 24-inch piece. And the other three on this side came off of another 24-inch piece. So I figured both the 24-inch pieces weighed the same. So if I just separate them, so if I split them so that the three pieces that came off of one were over here, the three pieces that came off the other were over here, you know what I mean? Then obviously the weight is going to be centered in the middle. It'll be balanced. So that's what I did. So after I figured out which three I wanted on each side, I had to, with the rope, I had to run the cordage really long. That way I could adjust these so that they're all at the proper height. Because you don't want them all to be even. If they're all even, you're not going to get proper sound. I spoke about that a little bit earlier in the video. But if you can see, they're all hung at different heights right now because there's a sweet spot on the pipe. I don't know if you can hear that. They're all in the same spot now. So like when I hang this from the center, I'm going to hang it at a particular height so that it hits all of them in that sweet spot and you get the nice tone. Okay, that's why I had to adjust the height on these. You want to adjust them so that they're all pretty much, the middle of every one of them is going to line up. Not the top, not the bottom, but you want to find that sweet spot, which is typically somewhere in the middle. And you want to get them close so that you're going to get a nice tone. So now that they're all hung, the hard part's done. This was a pain in the butt, stringing these things and tying all the knots and everything. But that's all done now. Our next step is I'm going to be hanging the wind catcher here, the butterfly wind catcher. I'm going to hang that. I'm going to use this chain here to drop down the middle of this thing so that I can hang this piece here, which I'm sorry, I don't know the terminology. I've been calling it the knocker. I don't know what you actually call that thing, but that's the piece that's going to knock into the chimes. So that's what I'm going to get done next. After I get all that done, I'll come back and I'll show you what the next step is. All right, guys. So we've got our wind catcher on there. We've got our knocker, striker, whatever the hell you call it. That's attached with the chain and everything. I'll try and pick this up and show you. Ugh. Damn, this thing's heavy. All right, so there you go. You got this all attached now. So this is just going to bang around in there and do what it does when the wind catches it. So let me just go ahead and put this back down. Whew, all right. Now our last step is I've got all this stuff here. I got all kinds of chains, hooks. I got a carabiner here. I got to figure out how I'm going to attach that to this piece of wood so that I can suspend this. So that's our last step. And then this thing is complete. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to dick around with this for a little bit. Try and figure out how I want to configure it. See if I want to use those hooks at all, or if I'm just going to screw these chains right into it. I don't know. I got to figure it out. And then the next segment, as soon as I come back, you're going to see the finished product. So hang tight, guys. We're almost done. All right, guys. There it is. She done. Check that out. That is awesome if I say so myself. I have never built something like this before, you know, but like I always say, the only way to do a thing is to do it, man. I know my wife likes wind chimes, so what the hell? I built her some wind chimes. They came out awesome. So let me climb on up here real quick. I'll show you what I did with these chains to suspend this thing. So I used these 4 smaller chains, and as you can see, I just kind of screwed them right into the sides here. Okay, and they're connected to, I had this old ceiling fan chain laying around. So I got that going up to the top, that hook there with the carabiner. So there you go. There wasn't much to that. That wasn't really too difficult to figure out. And as you can see, guys, it's perfectly balanced. It's not lopsided at all. So I got the weight right on it. The weight distribution is good. I think it looks friggin' awesome. As you can see, you got the wind catcher down here, the butterfly. She loves the butterflies. The only issue I have with this thing is the piece in the middle, that the striker or the knocker, whatever the hell you call it. Like I knew it was going to happen, it is way too small. It's just not large enough to reach the chimes there. The wind would really have to be whipping to make that work. But I mean, it sounds great. But let's give it a shot here. I'll just kind of... So I mean, the tone from that thing is amazing. It sounds awesome, but I'm just gonna have to keep my eyes peeled for a larger striker piece there in the middle. Now me and my wife, we like to go antiquing, so we're always finding cool stuff. I'm sure I'll find something made out of bronze that I could put there that's gonna work better than that. I mean, if worse comes to worse, I could always just make something out of wood. I can build a little, I can use some extra oak that I have from that piece that I used to cut the top piece, and I can make something in there that I can use. But for now, this is gonna have to do, because our anniversary is coming up and I have to give this thing to her, so I'm pretty much out of time. I can't really fix that right now, but she's gonna love it. I know she's gonna love it either way. So I guess that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you next time.